Morning, Trainiacs. Here we are getting into beginning of November, and that means off-season's over. First swim today, going over 3,000 meters in ages. That's not my bag. Well, that was not 3,000 meters. I forgot that the technique phase of the Tower 26 program features a lot of kicking. And I kick like a cinder block. 25-50 in an hour? Not my best work. Lots and lots of questions, I guess, as a lot of you are planning out next season. And the questions about swimming often involve, am I still doing Tower 26? Heck, yes, I am. Love it. Maybe not the kicking. But fun thing came out, the guy that made the Tower 26 website, Christoph, he also runs OBS Tri, OBSESSEDTRIATHLETE.com, and he came out with some new features. I want to show you. They're super cool. If you want some really good procrastinating material, this is it. I am wearing a Speedo, by the way. A nice one. All right, so my pal, Christoph Balestra, is the guy that designed the Tower 26 website. He used to be, I think, one of the, hey guys, shh, give the kids a toy and they get all worked up. He used to be, I think, a founder of a video game design studio. He's since retired, stepped back from the company, and now he makes triathlon websites, really good ones. The Tower 26 website, OBS Tri, not Team Trainiac. I didn't want to rub Jerry's rhubarb on that one there. He sent me a message about some updates that he's done on OBS Tri that I think take the site from something that, you know, I go to occasionally if there's something specific that I wanted to see, but this now is an awesome, like I haven't actually closed this tab in about 2 weeks. Procrastinating website, it's a good one. So the first thing that I really like here is he has compiled all of the Ironman branded races out there, and with elevation and number of turns, he has given a difficulty rating to each of the races. So this was really good for somebody in, let's say, my case, where I find myself to be a fairly confident open water swimmer, be a little bit stronger on the bike, not quite as strong on the run, so I'd be looking for a difficult bike but an easier run. And let's say an ocean swim. So we will look for an ocean swim, we'll look for a bike with difficulty rating of +4, and then we can start going with easy runs. So half Ironman Nice, really good for me. Ironman France, half Ironman Barcelona. We can sort that to half Ironmans, we can sort that to full Ironmans. What if you are the exact opposite? You would prefer a river swim where it's going with the current, a very easy bike, and then a fairly difficult run. Doesn't seem to be too many of those because there aren't that many river swims. So let's instead say a lake where the closest thing that you're going to get is half Ironman Ohio, but if you open that up to a harbor swim, you've got half Ironman Puerto Rico, half Ironman Cartagena. If you go into an ocean swim, you got half Ironman Turkey, the Sunshine Coast. All of these options, it's going to help you narrow down, if you can fly over the world, what courses are going to suit you well. Now, the next thing that is really fun is you can look up any athlete. So we've looked up myself here, and he's created DPI. And this is your Division Performance Index. So what this is going to give you is it's going to give you an indication of whether you are trending better overall in your division or worse. And then when you start clicking into the details, it's going to give you an indication of whether you are trending better or worse in each of the different disciplines. Now, it's also going to account for, let's say, a downriver swim where, let's say, the swim is incredibly fast and your time is incredibly fast, it's going to account for that because everyone is going to be incredibly fast. And it's pretty close. Like if I think back to half Ironman Campeche, just let's say my bike, for example. I was a 96.1 in Campeche. I was a 96.2 in Austin. Even though the time was 4 minutes slower, I would say that, yeah, I was probably a faster biker. Not much different. However, this past year, 96.7 in Coeur d'Alene. Yes, I would say that I was a faster biker in Coeur d'Alene. In Worlds, 96.2, so not quite as good. I would actually say that I was a little bit better. So like it gets you right into the ballpark. It gives you a really good idea of where you fall in line with all that. Also, while you're there looking at your individual DPIs from all of the individual disciplines, you can click on your athlete, half Ironmans or Ironmans. I don't yet have any Ironmans, but you can see where you're trending race over race. And it gives you an indication, like this isn't an exact science, but it gives you a good indication of kind of where you slot in the age group. Another cool thing, this allows you to follow certain people. So I followed myself, I followed our pal Nicole Walker. Now the next thing that it allows you to do is it allows you to compare races to each other. So I'm thinking right now that while I'm over in Singapore, I might then just fly from there to say either New Zealand or perhaps Puerto Rico. So let's compare those two races to each other, and it can help us select if we are trying to go and say cherry pick a race to get to Worlds, how do the fields stack up? So let's go to New Zealand and let's select last year and let's select the division. Let's see who shows up at that age category. Then let's just look at Puerto Rico and we will select last year and we will select the division. And this gives us an indication of the times, but you can cross-reference it, go back to the race difficulty and look at New Zealand and see that the total difficulty between the bike and the run is a 4.9 for New Zealand. So remember that, New Zealand is a 4.9. Puerto Rico is a 4.3. So theoretically, Puerto Rico is not as hard as New Zealand, but the fastest time in the division in Puerto Rico was slower. The top 5% were slower. The top 10% were slower than New Zealand. The top 25% were slower, and the median was slower. So this kind of tells me that the age group might not necessarily be as competitive because New Zealand is a tougher race, but it has faster times. And there's some other things that you can look at that are super fun. I've used this and you can see a trend line of the last 13 years of how overall entries are going and region entries and division entries, and you can play around with swim times and overall times. There's rankings here, and maybe in development when you don't have Danielle Arif ranked as the #1 athlete. Let's see how she does in Ironman. Oh, and she is way down, 17th. It seems to have something to do with how much you race. So that's Christoph's new website, productivity all over the globe for businesses with a high percentage of triathletes working in them. 50% of the business is a triathlete. Has just plummeted. Go check it out, obsstri.com. And if you aren't already subscribed and wasting a lot of time watching YouTube videos, hit the subscribe button to this good procrastinating channel. And if you are already subscribed, thank you for spending a lot of time that you should be spending on work, on your family, on your fitness, with me instead. Later, Trainiacs.